So full-time RVing, sometimes you have to be a little different. And so this week we have a community spotlight with Matthew Putman. He's done a lot of things on the road, but let's start with his RV journey, because that's why we all started this lifestyle, right? Is there's a journey somewhere in this equation. So welcome, Matthew, to the show.
Thank you.
I'd love to dive into when did you go on the road? Are you full-time, part-time? Sometimes do you go back to a sticks and bricks? How does that work for you guys?
In 2013, I got injured and spent 2 years laid up. I was permanently disabled at that point. So starting in 2015, we did seasonal camping for about 4 years. Then we started travel camping and really loved doing it. We still go home quite a bit. Last year we had camper issues, so we didn't get much camping in. And this year we won't be able to start till towards the end of July because I have prior commitments because I'm trying to get the Strain Guard business going. So that's taking some time until the end of summer.
Well, I feel like they don't tell you what a business does to your travel schedule. That's for sure.
Between that and had some lousy RV repair work done, I had to fight to get it fixed and done right. We got it. We're moving forward. So that's the good thing.
So what kind of RV do you travel in?
We currently we own two, but the one that we travel in is a 2022 Puma Unleashed fifth wheel toy hauler. She's 40 foot long, one slide out, and the three of us, myself, my wife Valerie, and our dog Bella, go in it. Last year we got some down around in Indiana and Kentucky, Ohio border, and then we went to a Navy Warfare Center, spent a week with some friends on base. So we like it. It's a nice, comfortable, it's homey. It's not pretentious.
Yeah, actually today I'm recording in a spot I don't usually record from. I'm actually in my living room. My husband's away on a business trip. And so normally I'm stuck in the bedroom with a sheet behind me, where actually today I have a pillow behind me. And so people don't know, if you're not watching, you don't know that my location in the RV changes when I record. I have been known to record outside, but we are currently in Texas and it is hotter than a wet noodle out there. Literally, you turn into one. It's brutal here right now. I am recording inside in the air conditioning that is maybe not even quite keeping up.
I'll be down there the 17th of July.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm going to Texas A&M for 8 days.
Nice. Well, we have a full rally schedule, for RV roofing solutions. And so that means that we're on the road more than half the year just for the business. That doesn't mean that it's fun. And so when we first started in 2013, we hit the road full time with 6 out of 7 of our kids. And it was kind of crazy. My husband retired from the Marine Corps and we thought, this is the best it's going to be, right? We bought and created businesses in the industry. And that's kind of what you're doing too. But I don't think you realize how busy that's going to get you.
Wasn't so much that we wanted a business. It was we found a very big hole in RV needs. We were camping and our camper suffered an electrical failure. And my father was a master RV technician. So my RVing goes all the way back to when I was a child. And then when he became a master RV technician, he'd go, oh, my knees are bad. Oh, my eyes are bad. And I became knees and eyes. So I learned a lot from him. But so we had this power failure and I was troubleshooting. I had the power box out of the wall and I was looking inside the wall and I could see the power inlet connector and it was on fire. I jumped up, yelled at my wife, said, we're on fire. I ran out the door and got the fire out. And we found out that the heavy cable straining at the connection where the inlet comes in, on the detachable cables, there's nothing there to support that connector. So all that string wears down that connection and that generates heat. Heat leads to the meltdowns,
wow,
electrical shorts, and fires. And we spent 2 years looking for a solution to prevent it. And there wasn't any. So my wife finally looked at me. She says, go out to your shop and build something. Very first thing I came in with, she says, oh, heck no, that's not going on my camper. Redo it, and gave me specs. So now this is a pre-production model of the Strain Guard device. This is for a 50 amp tapered cable connector. And all it does is it comes up under the cable, lift up a little bit, the way to push it down and hold it right into place against the side of the camper. We put Velcro on it, but you really don't need it. On our website at strainguard.com, you can see a picture of it being held in place just by the cable weight.
Oh, wow.
That's showing that it's eliminating the strain on that connection. Just as we really got traction, we finally discovered one product out there that's doing it. They have a fabulous product. I'm not going to knock them. They have a great product. It's called Smart Plug, but it's $700. Their cable, a 50 amp cable, is $500. I don't know about a lot of people. That's just not me.
Well, I mean,
We're
I think
doing,
that
we're
this
offering a
community as a
solution.
whole needs, both a high-end solution and a budget-friendly solution because everybody needs to be safe. Like ultimately at the end of the day, if you can't afford this $500 to $700 piece of equipment, as long as they're not doing a disservice with another product, yours is a quality product and you've put a lot of time, effort, and thought into it, and I'm sure tons of testing.
Yeah.
The reality is aftermarket products are often just as good. I own a nationwide aftermarket roofing company, and everybody says, well, it's not the same as a membrane. You're right, it's not. It's in a lot of cases better. And my option, while it's still expensive in the grand scheme of things, it is more affordable than an $18,000 roof. Like that's kind of how I'm looking at this in terms of comparison for you is, your product is a product that pretty much anybody could afford to buy and put on their camper to protect themselves from that issue. As you were holding it up, and our audience that's just listening to the podcast, the YouTube your audience can see you holding it up. The way that works in my head, and I'm just, I don't have mine yet. I've got one ordered from you. When it comes up into that, it just holds that edge so that it's not bending too far. Because electric currents, like my husband always says, my husband's got an electronics background, so he rolls up all his cords. We don't tie them in knots. We don't let them so I mean, like, let's talk about the importance of electricity and how that works. Because I mean, obviously, you've had to have learned a ton about why it's doing what it's doing when you don't have that on.
Well, my background when I was in the Navy, I was a fire control, computer electronics, and electrical technician. So when I grew up doing it, and then after I've gotten out of the Navy, I proceeded to keep doing these things. So when I looked at the parts and the burned components that you'll see on our website, those are the components from my camper. That it didn't occur in the Puma, it occurred on my 2017 Jayco. But those are the components in the power cord of how bad it melted down. We saved the camper and all that. But I was able to understand that, and I've always known that when you pull on a connection, you make it weaken. And once you weaken an electrical connection, it generates that heat. And it's a continuous evolution. The more heat it builds, the worse the connection gets, so it builds more. So you have to do something to support that cable to maintain that connectivity so that it doesn't get pulled and dragged on. And you eliminate that strain. And all we're doing is cradling it, holding it perpendicular so that there's no stress on the connection. You'll still have to keep an eye on your contacts, and we can't cover what happens at the pad, at the campsite power. Because there's no way we can come up with something because there's no regulation on how high, but it's too hard.
Well, I mean, the reality is they should be using something like a watchdog at the pedestal anyways, just to make sure that your power is being filtered, especially because campgrounds, I think a lot of people don't even realize, not all campgrounds are new, and certainly not all power is new. And so a lot of times the power that's coming out of there is 30 years old and it hasn't been upgraded. When campers first got on the scene, we weren't all 50 amp campers with 2 or 3 air conditioners. I had an issue last night and everything went haywire. My lights went a little wonky last night and my watchdog shut everything down, and I knew it was going to happen because it flickered, and there's some kind of telltale signs. Usually my water heater goes off first when that happens, when I know it's going down, and so it beeped and I was like, but we're in Texas and it's a million degrees in humidity here right now, and everybody's power pedestals are probably hot. Everything shut down. I gave it a couple minutes. Our watchdog's gonna cycle that, and it's gonna do all the checks before it turns back on. I think there's some things we have to do just as RVers to make ourselves smarter and better equipped. And your product does that to a certain degree because you're being proactive about that maintenance side of things. Also, not using an old power cord. I'm guessing there's some value in that. And again, power cords are expensive. Do you know how often we should be changing out those power cords?
I actually read that they suggested every 2 to 5 years, depending on usage. One of the things we learned in doing our discovery and talking to customers is another failure point on power cables is where the molded connector meets the cable. Right at that seam, the constant bow, it bends out and breaks apart, and people are having to replace their cables because of that. And we found out by sending a strain guard to a customer that this last half of this, where it goes past the connection point and supports the cable itself, we're extending the life of the cable by doing that. So we were really pleased to see that happen. And that was a very inadvertent, something we didn't design into it initially, but we realized that that's another benefit that we can offer.
Yeah, happy accidents are always good.
Good accidents, yes. The other thing we did is we went to soft start systems to try to reduce some of the amperage. Let's be honest. There's going to be more and more power needed to RVs in the future. because there's more and more demands. I mean, I'm seeing now 47, 48 feet long. You could buy a Camping World or someplace. And I'm like, I don't even know they got the campgrounds to support that yet.
I think a lot of people don't even think that through in terms of like, if you're going to Maine in the summertime, I have a 42-foot camper. We don't fit everywhere. And so you have to be very intentional about where you're staying and how you're booking those reservations. And a lot of people, I actually have work camped a couple times. We work camped in West Yellowstone one summer in 2022. I can't tell you how many people lie about the length of their rig. And then they get there and they're like, oh, well, you have to fit me because I paid my deposit. Actually, campgrounds don't have to let you in if you're lying and you're saying you're 36 feet and they're giving you a 37-foot site or a 38-foot site and you're 42 feet long and now you're hanging in their road. They can actually turn you away. Power pedestals are no different. You know, a lot of people will book, 30 amp site with a 50 amp unit, and then get there and say, well, I told you I was 50 amp. Most reservation systems now are actually making you take that information. That's not necessarily true either. So let's talk about step down units. When I get to a site that is only 30 amp and I use that, I call it a step down. I don't know what it's actually called. My husband handles most of the electricity in the household. That little dongle that goes from 50 to 30 amp, that puts extra pressure on the system. So I'm sure that having the strain guard there helps that too, because you're not taking and twisting. Basically, does the power that's coming out of there, does it get pinched in some way?
A 50 amp connection is two 30 amp legs, basically. Two hot wires, same amperage, 25, but they can go through a 30 amp breaker, so it can go up to 30. Believe it or not. And when you do the step down, all you're doing is you're stopping one leg from coming through. So you're now running with only one leg instead of two. The problem that can stem from that is if you have a high current pull, like if you're running your microwave, your coffee maker, and your AC compressor kicks in, that's a hard draw. Those are the draws that generate a lot of heat. The more current also generates heat. You don't want to exceed it. For us, what we do to reduce that is we went with soft starts to a device called Active Smart, and it plugs in, it replaces the Hughes. It does the same thing as the Hughes former, except it provides soft starts. It has reduced my current needs into my camper drastically. I don't have the flicker when the ACs kick. I don't have any of that. That is going to help reduce heat through your connections because you're not drawing as heavy a current. The larger the current's going to generate more heat. So if you reduce the current, you're going to reduce heat. And by having strain guard maintain the electrical connection of the connector at the inlet connection on the side of the camper and maintaining a good connection there, now you've eliminated the heat there in two ways because you've reduced the current with that one device and then you secure the connector and you eliminate the strain that creates poor connections on that. Because I know for us, the biggest thing is after we got the fire out, I knew the sick camper was safe. My dog, my wife were safe. Sorry, I said it in that order, but my wife will laugh. But no, once I knew everyone was safe, I looked at my wife and go, well, what would have happened if we'd have been out and Bella would have been home alone? What if it had happened when we're in the middle of the night? Let's be honest. How many power boxes sit almost directly across from a door? If you have an electrical fire there, are you going to be able to make it out the door?
We were actually in a campground several years ago where someone's camper caught on fire. It was the AC unit, and it was like we heard a big boom. We thought it was actually like the transformer, but none of our power went out. My kids were up watching a movie. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. They were just finishing it up. They looked out their window and they were like, Mom, that camper's on fire. And so my husband, Frank, raced out the door. Like I woke him up, said fire. I hadn't said fire. He had thrown flip-flops on, put his shirt on, and was out the door in that amount of time. Just because, I think the Marine Corps, the adrenaline, all the things that you guys are trained to do in the military just kind of kicks in that situation. He was over there. I called 911. He was disconnecting propane tank. That was his first thought, was disconnect the propane tanks. The roof's on fire. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. We know that if we can get the propane tanks off it, we were in a campground. So we were right, like we were one row over from them, but there were campers on each side of this unit. That type of thing, middle of summer. It was also in Texas. So summertime heat was a very real thing. And one of the things I try to do is I try to run my washing machine at nighttime, not because I love how it shakes the house at night, but because I know that it's better. It's better at nighttime because the house is cooler. The AC is not kicking on as frequently in the summertime, that sort of thing. In the winter, a lot of times I'll run it during the day just because the sun is out and I know that I don't have to heat the house. You have to be mindful of all that power draw. This isn't a standard house. You're going to pop breakers and your CFCI can pop the whole world off, half the world off. Your computer system can get shut down because of a power draw. It's not good for your electronics overall. We're full time. I have some amenities that maybe other people that are traveling in a camper don't have. I have a washer and dryer combo on board. I have a dishwasher. I have a regular fridge. We put a house fridge in our camper. All of those things are definite draws on top of my AC. That means that I have to be super mindful of that. So that's where I see, your product being so different is it's not going to stop the power, but it's definitely going to support it. Fire is scary. Things can happen in the blink of an eye. You're very fortunate that you got out of it, but at the same time that you had the wherewithal to create something out of that experience, because a lot of people wouldn't.
I grew up in a service family. My father, like I told you, he worked at Kellogg's as a powerhouse engineer. Plus, we grew up running a heating and cooling business. So from 10 on, I was doing no heats in the middle of winter. So we did service and we helped people. When this happened to us, and then we found there was no solution, and we created Strain Guard, we could have very easily just made it for our camper and walked away, called it good. But I love camping. I love RVing. I want to see more people get into the lifestyle. I think it's one of the best lifestyles there is. The last thing I'd ever want is someone to have what happened to me, but only worse. My wife and I, we talked about it, and we said, well, we were retired, but we decided to do this, and we're going to do it. We know we have a plan, but we think it's worth it because personally, I'm upset with the RV industry. 1 in 4 electrical failures in an RV come from a power cord meltdown, whether at the power pad in the campground end or at the connection point on the camper. 1 in 4. Why has the RV industry, now, like I said, I can't take away any of the issues that may happen at the power pad end. Campground, I can only address where the connector meets on the camper. And that was very upsetting for me because the RV industry should address it. I know I'm not the first person it's happened to because I've talked to them. I had one tell me, they go, well, we put our plug into the wrong amperage. We put it into 50 instead of 30. And they swore that's why everything melted down when I informed them that was impossible to do because of the way the plugs are made. And then the realization hit them that what I had been talking about, because they're friends and family kind of thing, I explained it to them and I showed them, and they're like, the realization hit them that, no, this happened to them. The cost was excessive, and they did all the repairs themselves, but it cost them, I think, around $300, $400. So they're like, if we pay under $100 for something, we're ahead of the game no matter what.
I feel like that about a lot of aftermarket things in the industry, though. I think there's a lot of great inventions out there that are definitely aftermarket that improve the quality of what you're doing. My friend Daryl has the Wacko AC silencer. So the first year, my husband would take phone calls in our bedroom and he would shut the AC off because it was so loud because he couldn't hear. And so I bought one. Fortunately, with your product, you'd only have to buy one. But Daryl said to me, oh, you'll be back tomorrow. And I was like, I will not be back tomorrow. And he's like, no, you'll be back tomorrow. But it pushed everything through the ducting the way it was always supposed to go through the ducting. It did so much more than just keep your AC quieter. I think there's so many aftermarket upgrades, and I'm going to call them upgrades, that come with a situation like that. You can actually benefit your RV with those upgrades. It's not like it's, just throwing money away. I'm sure there's some that are. Most of the vendors that I know put a lot of thought and heart into the products they're building for this industry. I think that's why we keep showing up because, again, you just said it, you're retired. I mean, unless you needed something to do, starting a business in the RV industry is not for the faint of heart.
We came up with it and filed our patent, and I have spent all of last year and so far all of this year, mainly in school, learning to operate a business successfully and getting to know people to help us grow the business to get the product out there. We're now just waiting to hear we won a grant and we're waiting on the contract. And then that'll put us into production with the production unit. So we're really excited about that. And we're also getting ready to have a 30 amp model come out so that it'll support the tapered 30 amp. What we're doing to get started is we're choosing the connectors that are the most prevalent. Those are the ones we're putting product out for first because molds for injection molding is very expensive. So we're trying to get that so we can get it out there, educate consumers, let people know about it because honestly, I never thought about it until we had the fire. But once I had the fire and I sat and I started looking at it and you go, when you put the cable on and you see that drop a little bit, that's the weight. That's the strain on that connection.
And those cables are heavy. Like if you've never gone and picked up your electric cable, I would tell you to go pick up your electric cable to your rig because you need to know how heavy that cable is.
I will say this, and I want to be honest, I'm not out to make money off a snake oil. Our product is currently with Western Michigan University with their engineering seniors. We are a senior project for them, and they're doing testing from load bearing, how much it's taking and absorbing, how much support it's given to the connection, things like that. And they're going to go through and they're going to do material recommendations, all sorts of, whatever we can get from engineering. We're trying to make sure that we give a quality product. That's one of the reasons we've been slow getting to production is we wanted some of that feedback.
Well,
I don't
the
want to rip
turtle won the
somebody off.
race with slow and steady. If you go back to the rabbit and the hare, the turtle did just fine with the slow and steady race. They made it through to the end. Learn to RV has been around since 2016, so 10 years this year. A lot of people didn't know we were here. We started a podcast a year ago. We've definitely grown, and it's been slow and steady. I wouldn't say we're growing by exponential leaps and bounds, but we're growing every single week. And I think that that's what you have to look at with any type of product in this industry is can you maintain the time test, essentially, what that looks like for the product and for you guys. You don't want to put something through production faster than you should be either, because then there's going to be errors and you want to be on the front side of that, So let's talk about quality builds, because obviously you're doing that. You've got engineers on board. You're getting backing to go into production. What does that look like for you? If you had an ideal client right now, what is your dream? Is your dream to be like a vendor at Hershey or Tampa? Or are you more like want to get this in every, campers in and camping world?
Because the RVer in me wants to go to all the RV shows because I can work, but I can go play and look. And I love looking at motor coaches. That's my dream to purchase as a motor coach, diesel pusher, because that's what my dad had. No, we want to do RV shows because that's where we can talk to the consumers, the RVer, and we can talk to people like you who can get the word out and again help educate. Like I said, I'm kind of disappointed the RV industry hasn't made this more well known, and they haven't done anything yet to try to protect RVers. And I don't know why. I don't want to sound cynical. I'll let everybody draw their own conclusions. I mean, $200 an hour in a dealership or an RV service guy, plus all the parts, it adds up fast. And if you get an electrical short that goes inside and does damage to interior components, that's even more hours troubleshooting and more repair costs. We want the education, and that's how we're starting out slowly. We're actually, once we get this production run started, we're going to start going to campgrounds in the area and getting some orders through that way to start educating and then showing the dealerships, yes, this is what we need to do. And this needs to be in I call it the package of everything you got to buy now that you bought a camper, all the things you didn't know you needed, the stinky slinky, the tire chocks, all those things. Put it in something like that to help protect them right from day one. Let's educate the community so they understand.
Well, and that's the heart behind Learn to RV is, I tell people all the time, Learn to RV is about way more than just one person or just me. We bring on writers. We're not paying anybody yet. Like at some point we hope to be a media mogul that will be able to bring all that on. But at this time, I'm just one person. My co-host Tasha is just one person. And so she and I produce the podcast and we have a marketing team behind the scenes. But other than that, it's just us doing our thing. I need more than that. So we have people that come on and they write articles for us or they produce videos for us. I think that there isn't one entity that isn't like, this is mine. I don't think Learn to RV, yes, I want it to be mine to a degree, but I want it to be yours too. And I don't know how to explain that to you other than to say, I don't want it to be a situation where there's gatekeeping. I want it to be a situation where when there's something new, you guys want to come to Learn to RV and say, hey, I've got this new idea. Somebody said to me at a show a couple of years ago, I don't need Learn to RV. I already do it, but you don't know everything that is there out there. So I think that there's something for everybody in Learn to RV. It doesn't mean that you're brand new at this. It doesn't mean that you haven't been doing it for 20 years. You could still find this amazing, innovative product like Strain Guard and say, hey, I want to share this. And so that's kind of the heart behind it. We're glad to have you for sure.
Well, we're glad to have you because people like you are so important to the industry. And you brought up something I completely agree with you on. We need people that are educating RVers, whether brand new to it or been doing it their whole life. The first thing you got to accept is you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people don't like that phrase, but it's the truth. And I mean, I've spent all this time doing schooling and classes for business, and I'm doing another one starting next week through almost the end of July. Why? Because I don't know what I don't know, and I'm going to learn. But by learning, then I can maybe help somebody. So we can talk to you, and then you put the word out like you're allowing us to do with Strain Guard. And we're grateful because, like I've said, the power needs on these campers has grown so much exponentially since probably 2000. I remember my dad having a 36-foot motorhome diesel pusher was 30 amp in the 90s.
People don't realize that those only had one AC on them, though. We do roofs from 1990 still. So, I mean, they're still great units, especially those diesel pushers. But people don't realize that there aren't two ACs on a lot of them.
And it's the more the power and all that, and the heavier these cables are going to get, and the more problems are going to happen. And like I said, the statistic of 1 in 4 electrical failures is from a cable meltdown, whether it be at the power pad or at the camper connection. It's scary that there's been no addressing it. Now, we've got ourselves where our product is patent pending, and we've created it so that we can license the intellectual property so that hopefully we can get the Camco or one of the big major cable makers to license our patent, integrate it right into the cable connector. So now the consumer, the camper, only has one product. You don't have to sit and screw your thing on, then put our product in. You have one. And that's where we're hoping to go with this, is we want to integrate it into the cables so that when you buy your cables, it's already there. And
That's
you're
awesome.
protected right from Jump Street. That's where we're working to get to. We got a long way to go to get there, but I think we're gaining a lot of traction this year. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. The students at Western Michigan have been saying, yes, we see exactly the engineering of it, which really made me feel good that I did that. And I'm getting college approval, so to speak. I mean, I never went to college, but I probably have if you added everything up a master's degree with all the schooling I've done, just never tallied it up because it all came in different phases. We want to protect campers. We want them to have fun. I mean, one of my favorite things is I'll see a young family out on their first, second camping trip. I'll make muffins in the morning, take it over for the kids. Here you go. Have a good day. Enjoy it. Become a part of our community. And all we can do is work together, help people learn from each other.
So where are we going to see you this year then?
I'm debating right now. There's this nice little hidey hole up in Michigan called Hidden Hills. It's a tiny little mom and pop campground, maybe 45 sites. The owner is such a sweet man, and his sister, sweetheart lady. They run it as a family. It's up near Harrison, Michigan, and it's one of the nicest places. And I've told my wife we're going there for 7 days because I need to go somewhere where I can, what I call it is burn trees, listen to music, and relax. Because I'll take up firewood and I'll read a book. Other than that, I'm hoping to get down to Tampa sometime this fall, or for the I believe there's a winter big RV show in Tampa.
Yeah, we'll be there.
We're hoping
We've been there we had 2 booths last year for RV Roofing Solutions, but Learn to RV was up in the front building with it. We put a banner up, and then people came by and put stickers on it. Brands or companies or influencers will come by and put stickers on it, and we carry that to all our shows now. And then we'll be in Indiana this summer. We come up for the Grand Design Rally.
Oh, really? Where is that?
In Goshen.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Well, let me know. I'm only an hour. I'm an hour, 20 minutes from Goshen.
Oh, yeah. You should look into the Goshen Fairgrounds. The brand rallies that happen out there on a regular basis all summer long are a great way to get started for you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I will definitely do that. We're working so hard, and we've taken time. We're working to create a universal product is our end goal. That's a lot of where the Western Michigan is working, because to create one for every kind of connector, I don't see it as being cost effective. But if we can make a universal that'll do it, and then that's good for the consumer, because you buy one product, you switch cables, you don't have to switch product. And that's a goal of ours. We ran into some issues and we're working on it. So that's why we started the way we have.
Again, I love that you're testing it every time. That's something that a lot of companies, they'd say, no, I want the money now, and they just put it out. I appreciate that you're taking the extra time to do that.
We didn't do this for money is the funny thing. I mean, I have a good retirement. Honestly, starting the business costs me more than it's making by a long shot. But it's because we believe so much in it. And we were in Iowa at a Warrior Rising function, because we do a lot of veteran functions and veteran support or veteran entrepreneur groups. We were at one, and I was talking to a gentleman about Strain Guard, and he says, "Are you making one for marine craft?" I said, "We're going to get there." And he says, "Good." He goes, "Because I walked down the marina all summer long watching boats catch on fire from that exact same problem. And it's in the recreational marine industry. We're seeing it in EVs. We've had electricians contact us and say, can we get something for the EVs? And that's definitely going to be more of into the charging connector, molded right into that through an IP. But I watched them put it into a Ford and watch the whole thing drop 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch from the weight. That's not good on an electrical connection.
Right.
And when you're drawing the current, it was easy taught to me, current is heat. The more you draw, if there's anything that causes resistance, that's heat. Poor connection, that's resistance, that's heat. Then you got more current, more heat. connection deteriorates. Like I said, it spirals out of control. Some people will never see this. I had been camping my whole life, and when it happened to us 2019, that was a learning education. But I think with more and more power being drawn, we're going to see more and more of it. We do know that fire costs RV industry $45 million a year. 115 people on average injured, 125 people injured, and 15 people fatalities.
Wow.
I'm not going to say that's from electrical fires. I'm saying that's just fires in general.
Well, right.
But let's try to eliminate one aspect that could lead to it. One leg of the equation there. If it saves one person or saves one camper or one pet, I'm happy. All my work's paid for because of that. That's all I care about. I don't ever want a camper to go out, well, when's my cable going to melt down and cause a fire?
Yeah.
Because how do you relax and enjoy it? And the whole point of camping is, come on, we go out there to relax. I would say let my hair down, but there's not much there. And go and relax and enjoy. That's why I do it. Go sightsee.
Well, and that's why most people do it, is just to enjoy life traveling and exploring, and most people wait till they're retired. We're some of the weirdos. Frank retired at 38 from the Marine Corps. And so we hit the road with 6 out of 7 of our kids. And so we did it long before it was socially acceptable for us to be retired. I remember walking through the campgrounds that first couple of years to pick up my daughter, who was over at a friend's camper playing. This older gentleman stopped my friend and I, and it was a dad. And he's like, "You're too young to be retired." And we're like, "Actually, my husband retired." And he's like, "Oh, well, he looks too young to." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not my husband. My husband's back at the camper with the other kids. I'm going to pick up my daughter with my friend." You've made a lot of assumptions here. I understand that. But at the same time, we decided to do it young because my dad died really young. My dad died when he was 61 years old. He never got to retire. And so we hit the road deciding that we wanted to do this with our family. This is our house. I've seen far too many people, like with our family, there's 5 of us in the camper right now. So any given night, we're charging 2 or 3 iPads, a bunch of phones. Even that power draw, we don't think about that consumption because it's just what we do, right? But my plug bar that's sitting over behind me has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if you count the little, ones for my phone on it. A camper's not really built for all of that. So you can't have too many of those in your rig. The Strain Guard eliminates the pressure off the line, but it doesn't mean you don't have to be responsible with your power.
No, you have to be aware we're not eliminating anything on power usage. And like I will say, like I told you, the Smart Plug product, it's a great product. I'm not going to knock it. Please don't think that. They made a wonderful video explaining stress. It's up on YouTube. But we have to monitor our power that we're drawing and do things to reduce it. And I firmly, like you were saying, aftermarket products. We all like the Hughes formers for protection. Active Start makes something similar to the Hughes former, but it also does what's called soft start. So that when the big compressors and it's drawn out of a capacitor bank versus being pulled off the line. And honestly, I've had it for 2 years. And one, I will say they're a great brand. You call them up, you got a warranty issue, they have it back to you within 3 days. They're phenomenal on that point. But 2, I have watched my lines and I have never seen a lead get above 20 amps with everything running, including the electric fireplace. Responsible on both ends, responsible on how we use the power that we draw in, and preventative. Check your cables. If you're seeing burn marks, if you're seeing corrosion, get a small wire brush or something or a small file and clean it up. Because that corrosion creates a poor connection back to the heat cycle, and that just deteriorates. So keeping an eye on things like that over time, will save you a lot of money.
That's awesome. Well, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on the show this week. If somebody needed to get a hold of you to learn more about your product, can you drop some information for them?
Our website is www.strainguard.com. You can email me at matthew.putman@strainguard.com, or you can call us at 269-205-3261.
Yeah, and keep an eye out. We'll have a blog post coming soon on Strain Guard. Once I have mine in my hands and we actually can hook it up, we'll definitely have some real pictures in real time and kind of have a way to review what that looks like for us. As full-time RVers, I think it's going to be something that's going to benefit us for sure.
And Jennifer, I honestly appreciate that you said you'd give us an honest review, because RVers need to be pointed towards good products, away from the bad, and things that people can see that are going to help. It's a big investment. Our tagline is, we're protecting your family and your investment. The investment's kind of an afterthought, but your family isn't. But our investments in these are so much. And I don't want, when we went looking, one of the funniest, this is honest to God story. It was on one of the manufacturer's blogs or posts, and I was looking how to do it, and somebody had posted, drill a hole, put a screw in, wrap a string around the screw, and then wrap it down around the cable. I'm like, I paid how much for my camper? I'm not doing that. It's very important that we have people that do non-biased evaluation and reporting of things, and I greatly appreciate you doing that. It's great for the
Of
community.
course. Yeah. And it's funny you say non-biased, but so we were up in Goshen a couple years back. It was our first year up there, and we've done a couple factory tours over the years. Each year we kind of pick a new brand to go check their factory tour. But our first year there, we went through one brand. They were very proud of the fact they put a roof on in 22 minutes. I own a nationwide RV roofing company. It's an aftermarket company. We get a lot of flack about, what it is and how it's different. It takes my guys 3 days to do one install, not 22 minutes. My husband looked at me and said, don't. And being a girl in the industry, owning a business like that is not an easy place to be. I know a lot about roofs. I don't know a lot about electrical. And so, we all have our strong suits. So I go to guys like you for information like that.
Yeah, and we try to help others. Some of the industry things are, I was actually at a dealership last summer. We did a trip to Nashville. So we took time and went over to one of the big dealerships for coaches. And I said, I got to see inside a Tiffin. Go, why?
No, their shower. It's the best in the industry. And their roof. The roof is slightly thicker.
I was actually going to see the cabinet door signed by Bob Tiff. That's what
That's
I
good
wanted.
too.
The took the door off and swapped it before they traded it in. They kept the door that Bob Tiffin signed.
If you've never met Bob Tiffin, you know how special he is. He is that family-owned and operated guy, and that is genuinely who he is. He's just fantastic.
I've heard he's a very good individual. I've never met him.
Well, and his wife Judy is so sweet. She does crafting classes at Tiffin rallies. They're so down to earth. They're just so awesome.
And that's what I love, people that they do this for the joy of RVing, not for status, not for anything, but just for the joy of it.
For sure.
I told my wife when we grow up, hopefully I will have a motor coach as our next purchase, and I want to spend more time on the road. I want to get out, and we have quite a few trips we want to do. I want to get her out to the Northeast and then out to Estes Park. She's never been to either place.
Oh, those are both beautiful.
No, Estes Park, first time I went there, took my breath away. As I crested a hill, when you come back down, coming in from Boulder, it was just absolutely mind-blowing. It was beautiful.
Well, thanks again, Matthew, for coming on the show. I so appreciate you being here and just sharing your passion, your heart, and your product with the Learn to RV community. So if you're looking for something to protect your rig, Matthew's got the tools. He's just wait till it's fully in production, but keep an eye on him. It's a product that it's going to be a game changer for a lot of us as RVers. And you don't have to be full-time for this one. It'll make your rig last longer. It'll protect your rig. All those things are just peace of mind items. And so it's worth doing.
Thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to your review.
Thanks, Matthew.